works out, we may have to restart the live stream because I wanted to be able to try something before everything started. So let me welcome to, let's see here. Top chat. Okay. So I wanted to give you guys some channel business. Plus, I stopped by, picked up a package. I got a care package from Mr. Alfred LaRock. I want to say thank you, kind sir. We've already started digging into some of the stuff that you guys gave us. And so I wanted to cover that. I wanted to tell you guys a little bit what's going to be happening because in about 9 more minutes, I'm going to be having a guest join me. And this is probably going to start becoming something that is regular for the both of us. Talking about doing maybe one Saturday a month, possibly the last Saturday a month, and we are going to we're going to just sit there and cover different topics. So hey, what's up, Jeremy? Nice to see you. Okay, so we're starting a little bit early because I wanted to handle some channel business, talk with you guys, kind of let you guys know what's going on, so that you guys are. Because normally I do my live stream at 3 o'clock, but today we're doing it at noon. And why are we doing it at noon? Because so you guys have heard me talk about the homeless entrepreneur and how I've gotten involved with his program. He's going to be coming on as a guest here very shortly. But the thing is he's in Europe, so it's like 6 o'clock in the evening where he's at. And so he doesn't really. It's we had to do it at this time, so that. Uh, uh, so that him and I can both do it. So one Saturday every month, it'll probably be the last Saturday of the month. Him and I are going to sit back and we're going to talk. And what we're going to be talking about today is the possibility. Hey, what's up, Bulldog? What we're going to be talking about today is the difference between the they are also Europe is actually pretty good about their criminal justice reform. They don't have a lot of the same issues that we have here in the states for various reasons, but a lot of it goes into their criminal justice reform. Okay, so Europe does have some positive things, and for those of you that say, "Oh, well, you should go to Europe and all this other stuff," I've watched a lot of Mark's videos as well. Okay, perfect. So, anyways, him and I are going to be discussing that. But let's look at this from an American standpoint, because I know a lot of you will be like, well, you want a European system, go to Europe. Well, no. Um, so here in the Ohio River Valley was one of the most successful communes that was ever created in the United States. There's one of like two or three of them. And the guy here from the Ohio River Valley wrote, I think it was Madison. He says, "Yeah, well, we need to implement this system." And Madison writes back, says, "No, no, 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 no. See, that's why we have 50. That's why we have the different states, is because of competition. Because if something works, then the other states will pick it up by competition. But if something doesn't work, it fizzles out in that state and it doesn't affect the union. This was the whole argument for states' rights. So being able to listen to what's going on over in Europe is extremely important. Okay. Um, Gotta reload YouTube. It's choppy for me. Okay, it might be because of where I'm at as well. Anyways, just kind of all right, getting back on topic. But anyways, just in the same way that the United States is in competition with every other country, if countries are doing things, if there is a system that's set up and works, then let's do it. Part of the reason why we haven't done a lot of the criminal justice reform that we need to do, and to be able to make it to where it's not such a big powerhouse of a business, because what ends up happening in our economy is that as a sector starts and it starts growing, all of a sudden it gets a certain percentage of the economy, and then it gets to that. Uh, um, oh, okay. Well, he's just gonna have to join me now. I mean, I told him 10 minutes. Anyway, sorry. If if you're watching, you could join anytime you want. Um, uh, so, anyways, Sorry, I've been having a really bad couple of days, a really bad couple of days, with what happened a few days ago up in Clifton. The reason why I still haven't created a video about it is because even the thought of it, the whole ordeal of it, just it sends me to a completely different place. And I'm trying to keep my composure because as far as the way Sam is, she's a little, these kids tried to steal my dog and they wouldn't have made it very far. There was some things that happened, and the continued thought of that crossing is just it's putting me in a place, a very bad place. And so therefore that's why we're out here versus being in the libraries, because I just need to be able to get outside, get some air, so on and so forth. But that's why I haven't made that video. But when it comes to all the rest of the stuff and everything else like that, as far as the way that these industrial complexes work, as they take over a large percentage of the economy, they become too big to fail. When they're too big to fail, well, then those guys get to write the rules and they're going to ensure their survival. Okay, so now that we have about 7 people in here, and I hope everybody's able to hear me, I want to show you guys what I just got in the mail. So I just got another care package. That was the other part of what I wanted to be able to do, is I wanted to show what Alfred got me, because he has been I've been, it's been up there for a couple of days. I just was waiting to go up and get it because I my mail is at the shower house. But anyways, let's look at some of the things that he got me, because I'm pretty impressed, and it's taken me a minute. I mean, when I went up there, I was just like, I immediately I immediately uh what's the word I'm looking for? I just put it right in my bag. So I didn't even really take too much of a look at it, just other than to see what it was. Because he said scissors, and I'm thinking I'm getting mustache scissors, right? I'm thinking, oh yeah, I could actually trim my mustache, because right now what I'm doing is I'm just pulling them out little by little. So if you're single, it's easier to be homeless. Imagine if you have little kids and can't afford. Oh God, yeah, that's got to be horrible. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Now just imagine what it would be like to yeah, there are plenty of stories out there about people being homeless with kids, but you know what? People that are homeless with kids actually have a lot more resources available for them. They will be in a shelter more often. The government will actually put you in a hotel more often, if especially if you've got a couple of kids. So all that other stuff is just, it is what it is. But so this is what Alfred got me. He got me a pair of shears. Okay, so now if I need to cut some wool off of a sheep, I can do that, or I can cut my own hair. I was thinking it was kind of like a thick wire cutter, because if you had certain hobbies in certain stores, this might also be valuable to you as well. But it's Fiskars Pro. I haven't pulled it out of the box yet, but trolls are here earlier than normal. That's a good sign. Move that engagement up. Yes. Thank you, Jeremy. Good for that. Okay. So, anyways, I got this. Okay. I will give you a little bit more in-depth tutorial about it. I'm gonna have to ask Alfred what his intent was for this, because again, I thought I was getting mustache trimmers. But I'm telling you, I could cut my hair now. That's kind of what I'm thinking he was thinking about, because my hair and everything, and I need to trim my beard. For you should get RV in the future. I No, definitely not an RV. Maybe a van, but not an RV. And if I can get a van, I want one of those old '80s vans. So, all right. So the other thing that he got me, you guys really like getting me these dude wipes, and I love these dude wipes. So right now I have 4 packs. Please wait at least maybe 2 or 3 months before you send me another pack. But absolutely love the dude wipes. They have a dual purpose. So not only like if I'm stuck somewhere and I gotta step in a bush and handle some business, not only is it good for that, but if I am struggling to get to a shower because the lines are too long, I don't have time. Oh, here we go. All right, Andrew, are you there? I hope I can. Okay, there you are. All right, so Andrew is here. I'm gonna finish this, and then we'll go ahead and get into it. Okay, Andrew, it just takes just a minute more. But anyways, with these, what you can do is sorry, hearing things, is not only can you like use it for hygiene, so like your nether regions and stuff like that, so you don't get bacteria. So if you start smelling things, that's actually the smell of mold and bacteria, and so therefore you want to be able to use this. You will get sweat rashes without using something like this if you're not taking a shower. Okay, so these are good not only for hygiene, not only for having to use the bathroom, but when I'm cooking, especially when I'm making chili dogs, because that's one of my favorite things. I've been using this so I don't use so much water because I'm very limited on the amount of water that I have. So these dude wipes, they do come in handy, but I probably will go through maybe one of these every 3 weeks. Okay. So the other thing that he got is, and I'm really excited about it. I've already eaten them. I've already showed my stepmom and told her to go buy some because these things are really, really good. These are Nutella crackers. They are phenomenal. And yeah, this was kind of like my snack before we started. Okay. And then of course, everybody loves Sam. And honestly, when he sent it, when I looked at the flavor, I started laughing because who likes liver? Raise your hand if you like liver. Okay. So freeze dried raw beef liver treats. So so Sam, but she seems to really, really like them, and they're pretty good. They're kind of like wafers and stuff like that. But she loved she loves eating them. So they're really good. So hey Andrew, welcome. How are you? Oh nice. Yeah, you were telling me you're going to be in France. How's the weather? You got some overcast clouds there. I've talked about you a little bit because of being involved with your program, but I know you're probably better at explaining who you are than I am. So why don't you take a moment and introduce yourself to my side of the channel so they know who you are.
Sure. Perfect. All right. Well, Doug, really appreciate the opportunity to enter this live with you. My name's Andrew Funk, the founder president of Homeless Entrepreneur. I experienced homelessness about 10 years ago. It was hidden homelessness, and it was nine months going in and 9 months coming out, kind of thing. And after helping, no audio.
I
Can you
can
hear
hear
me?
you just fine. Okay, yeah, he can
Okay.
hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I experienced homelessness myself, and then after solving my problem, I wanted to help other people, right? So the homelessness that each person experiences is different, right? So then you understand as you do more research, like you do, Tuck, to understand, how it affects other people as well, and then we try to figure out how to help other people. So we have three main programs. We have a helpline people call all around the world, so we can try to identify local resources to provide support. As you know, Tuck, then we have the Voices program where people tell their story. For us, the most important thing is to give the opportunity for people that are experiencing homeless to be protagonists. We want other people to tell their story and connect with the community in an authentic way. And then the help program, which you're in, which helps people become active working citizens and try to leverage the talent and the focus that they have so they can do what they're doing a little bit better and improve their situation. So I'm based in Barcelona, Spain. I move all over the world. So I was in Madrid not too long ago. I'm in France right now. I was in Brussels not too long ago, going to Luxembourg as well. So we move around a lot, and not every person is on drugs, of course not. You have that's to the research I've done. You're looking at 15 to 18% of the homeless population is there because of drug problems, and then 15 to 18 probably because of mental health issues. But yeah, I just appreciate the opportunity, talk to share this moment, talk about homelessness on different sides of the sea, right, Atlantic,
Yeah.
and then from there see what we can do from there.
Yeah, well, I've got to say, and you guys have been hearing me rave about this, but I'm having access to your program. I mean, depends upon where you're at on it too, because one of the things that you were telling me is that your programs are not developed just for people that want to, start their own business, but it's developed for somebody who wants to, excel in the workplace. Because if you're
Yeah.
an entry level, low level employee, your job security really isn't there. So if you take
Yeah.
an entrepreneurial spirit within the workforce or within the job place and move up the
Yeah.
ranks, therefore you secure your place, and you get yourself stability and a more livable income. And I think that that is valuable. There's nothing like that out there on the market. So what inspired just even setting this up? Because I mean, it's a unique
Yeah.
curriculum.
Yeah. I mean, Snow Snake Survival asked the question about full-time workers and homelessness. That was my case. I was making about 2, 3 thousand euros a month, but I had to pay much more than that. So I was working full time and trying to survive at the same time, right? So what we try to do, I got a job when I was homeless. That's how I was able to. Yeah, uh, there are a lot of people working that are homeless. This is something that's not talked about. Tuck, you're busting your ass with your channel and making things happen. You're working hard. So the problem is not necessarily that people are lazy and not working. It's because they're trying to find sense with the revenue model. Like, how do you make enough money, lower your costs, and be able to save some money so you can pay for a place to stay, right? So, from my experience, there are a lot of individuals. If you had to throw a stat out, I'd probably say like 35% of the homeless population is willing and able to accept the support and participate. They're in the right moment, right, to make it happen. That's those are the people that we're trying to help. We've been criticized because we don't help everyone, but you can't, and we don't aim to. We're not pretentious enough to believe that we can do that. So yeah, there are more people full time. Yeah, there's so many people that are experiencing homelessness and working. But also, when you're doing that, a lot of people aren't as brave enough as you are, Tuck, to tell their story. Like, I'm experiencing homelessness. We have a guy named Eric Eklund. He was in that moment for a while, and he kept going down. And he's a friend. He was even advising in Homeless Entrepreneur, and he finally opened up because we ran into each other in a small conference I was speaking at. And then he got a story out there, and embracing your situation is a good thing, and it helps you advance. So
Yeah, if you
it's
don't accept where you're at, you'll never move past it. But so let's kind of get into the meat and potatoes of why we're talking. And I want to talk about
yeah,
Europe's homelessness. So here in the States, we have the way we do it. You guys have the way that you do it. So let's kind of go
yeah,
piece by piece. How
okay.
is the shelter system in Europe? What's it like? What do you have to deal with?
Well, I mean, the shelter. I wasn't able to take advantage of the shelter system myself because I was working, right? So you have to go on a certain time. You have to leave at a certain time, and also they tend to want to help people with more problems. So people that are getting close to getting out of their situation or in a very rough situation and maybe need the help for less time, they don't have the support through the shelter system, right? One thing that they're changing in Europe is, you used to have like military barracks, if you will, for the most part, where you just have like 50, 60 people, bunking up. And, let's just say not everyone's in the best moment in their life at that time. So there's a lot of conflict in the shelters, people getting, robbed, um, beat up, a bunch of crazy stuff that happens. It's kind of like jail if you think about it. And
Well,
so they're trying to provide more personalized solutions, so that way they're smaller rooms and provide a better experience there. But it didn't work for
but
me because I was
what
working
about
and I
like
couldn't be like,
is there more of an abundance of shelters? Like, can you go into just about any city and find a shelter, or are they only in like epicenters?
I mean, most cities have them. Smaller cities have, like, you can stay there for like a week, or like 4 or 5 days or something, which is absurd because nobody changes their situation in 4 or 5 days, right? So,
Yeah.
in big cities, normally there's a waiting list of up to 6 months, right?
Wow,
So
that's actually
yeah,
so that sounds almost worse. I mean, you got a waiting list here, but that's more like for permanent housing. To be able to get into the shelters, it's pretty easy, but nobody really wants to go there. As
yeah.
far as abundance, though, it sounds like you guys have more shelters, but they're not really they're not really helping people because there's too many requirements, even for those that are trying to be productive. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, and also, people use housing first as like a blanket thing to give like people housing for nothing. And I know, the guy who set it up in the States, at least, right? And his name's Samson Berries, and really great guy. But when we spoke, he's like, Andrew, that was meant for people that could only work a few hours a week. Like they didn't have the capacity or the capability to work more than a few hours a week, right? But in Europe, they're kind of using that, just for people that can't pay for rent. So, in my opinion, housing is great and necessary, but you also need to make sure people are working and finding ways to contribute to society. And I
Okay,
think that's really important. So, yeah,
I think that there's a balance that you have to find there because the requirements to be part of the modern society is that you have to have a house. Okay, the amount of turmoil that you have to deal with outside just because you live
yeah,
outside is just crazy. So at a certain
yeah,
point, they there has to be some give because you have organizations and individuals that are profiting off of it, but it's also a
yeah,
necessary staple to live that is so far out of the market that you can't even afford it. So, what kind of
yeah.
solution do you find there?
I mean, for those individuals, what we do with those people, I'll give you a simple example. For us, it's work, right? Getting people to get jobs that help them pay for that, right? So, I got called by someone in our network yesterday, and they're like, Andrew, a friend of mine owns a hotel in Girona, which is about 2 hours away from Barcelona, and he said they're looking for someone to work at the hotel, and they also have free housing because it's included in staying there, right? So they live in the hotel and they have a full time job. So that solves that problem. So the main thing for us is finding a housing situation, get them out of the street as quickly as possible because you can't function as properly. You know that it's not easy unless some people get used to it to a certain extent, but it's really difficult to stay focused when you're getting bothered. I don't know what it's like where you're at, but here you have the police waking you up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, moving you
Well,
around, and at night it's impossible to sleep because you have like the cleaning trucks, etc. So it's really for us is finding support from the community. Many times there are volunteers that open up their home for a small time, or they give them, but it's trying to improve their housing situation as quickly as possible because it's difficult to keep a job if you don't have a safe place to live.
what about to say about the what it's like here in the states? In
Yeah.
2011, look up City of Boise v. Martin. It started in 2011. Ninth Circuit
Okay.
Court made the decision in 2019, which is when you start seeing all these homeless camps. They started saying that it was a
Yeah.
violation of the Eighth Amendment because there wasn't enough shelter space and therefore they couldn't criminalize homelessness. It negated all the sit
Yeah.
stand laws. Now, a lot of these cities are still trying to implement, including the states, like they're trying to make
Yeah.
homelessness a felony. But if you go through the court system, and right now that was just heard last month in the actual Supreme Court because Bakersfield is trying to get that overturned. And so it used to be that way where the cops would constantly move you along. But since the Ninth
Yeah.
Supreme Court Circuit decision, but the thing is, right now, with what DeSantis is doing down in Florida, there's no need for the Bakersfield decision because it's doing an end around. Because the whole argument is that you have, as long as if there's no housing, then you can't criminalize it. Well, they're saying, well, there's no housing, so we're going to force them into these camps in these designated areas, and if they don't go there, then we're going to criminalize it. And that's the move that the country's starting to go on, with Florida being being the centerpiece for that.
Yeah. I mean, in Europe, in theory, there's a right to housing and assistance, right? So no one should be unhoused. Like technically, legally, it should not happen, right?
Mm.
But having a law and enforcing it are two different things, right? So if you look at like the UK, the unwritten constitution of the UK does not protect the right to housing. However, the UK enjoys enforceable entitlements that are relatively more robust than those in other countries, right? So in many countries in Europe, there is a right to housing, but it's not taken seriously, really. There are a lot of people in the street. So in theory, people should not be in the street. Also, I suppose it's the same in the states, but I'm not sure. Um, there's a law that if it gets below freezing, like the local municipal
Yeah, the
areas
the
have to
weather
open more
shelters.
housing.
They have it in the South. They also have it if it gets too hot. They have like they call them climate zones or something.
Yeah. But it's, I think, what do you think about that? Because I think it's absurd. Because if you can give housing during specific moments because of extreme weather, that means that you could technically give housing during the entire year. Don't you
Well,
agree?
yes and no, because okay, so a couple, not last winter, but the winter before, Florida had its worst winter in 50 years. Well, it was getting down into the teens where I was at, which
Okay.
is like Central Florida, and
Yeah.
so like everybody else was going into cold weather shelter. We had like two or three people that died that stayed out, and I stood out in it the whole time. I didn't go into the cold weather shelter because I was testing out my gear to make sure that it was survivable because I was going to be going into some cold temperatures. But
Yeah.
they say that there's open shelters, but there's still not enough spot and still not enough space. Not everybody goes
Yeah.
into them in the way that you would think. So it's
Yeah.
offered, but there's still not enough space because even when you get in there, everybody's on top of each other. So there's really, it's not that
Yeah.
they can house people. What they did is they opened up a cafeteria and stuck everybody in there instead on boats. So
Yeah.
I think that, as far as that goes, it's kind of the reality on the ground here in the states. As far as
Yeah.
housing, I think that we need to stop profiting off of housing. Therefore, it will make it affordable because when you take the incentive of profit away, you're going to actually get a more reasonable price. At a more reasonable price, that means that your cost of living goes down. That means your quality of life goes up. That means your ability to house yourself becomes a lot easier. But right now, we have so many people that are investing that want to continuously raise the prices to keep up with inflation, but yet the job market doesn't. It makes it too hard for anything to go. So if you take the investment component out of the housing market, it will have a direct and indirect effect across the board. But as long as
Yeah.
Congress is investing in housing, it will never happen.
A lot of big names in the tech industry in California and Seattle area that are investing a lot of money in housing. But that's they're not solving it. Like homelessness is getting worse. In Europe, it went from 700,000 to 895,000 people, and I was at an event with the UNEP, with this United Nations,
Uh-huh.
and they were talking about sustainable finance, and I was like, well, how sustainable is it, and for who, if homelessness is getting worse? And to my understanding, in the states, it's getting worse, not better as well. And on top of it, I don't know if you knew, but you have enough people that are experiencing homelessness. If they all voted the same on a ballot, they could flip an election, which is crazy.
Well, the funny thing is, I would say a good 70 to 80% of them out here support Trump. So, I mean, if you support Trump, then yeah, I mean that's a bonus in your favor. But I'm actually surprised. I would have expected a more liberal crowd out here, but most of them no. They
No.
don't. There's a lot of conservatives that are out here, and you wouldn't think that considering the lifestyle and everything. So
Yeah, yeah, it's a different strokes for different folks. I mean, you have so many different types of homelessness, and I think many times people think like it's just like one face or one individual that it happens to. And what we try to do through Homeless Entrepreneurs help people that are willing and able to participate and work. Like what I want to see is I want to see how your channel becomes super successful, and that opens up the door for you and other people. I mean, I think that's beautiful when you have all that knowledge and finding a way to really see it valued, and just thinking out loud, I would love to see how we can get you to speak in Congress and all that.
yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, if I was ever invited, I wouldn't turn it down. But the likelihood of something like that happening, I wouldn't bet my future on it. But it'd be nice. It'd be cool. I don't think. I mean, from my point of view, and this is kind of the struggle I've even been having on my channel is like I'm homeless.
yeah,
What do people want to know from me? What do I have to say that people actually find value? And the more I talk and the more I really give the nuts and bolts of what it's really like and how to be able to, you know, navigate the system without dealing with like drug and alcohol and mental health issues and just learn how to navigate the system. I didn't realize how valuable that's become. And it's still baffling that anybody wants to listen to me about it. Like I'm surprised I got more than 300 subscribers. Really, I am.
well, you're getting to 3,000. Let me show you. This is actually a picture here. if you can see it, that's me and two homeless entrepreneurs in the Senate of Spain,
Oh,
right?
nice.
So, so it's definitely possible, and I do think that people need to listen to those that are affected by the issue, and then also include those opinions in the design. Obviously, not the only opinion, but you and everyone else that's experiencing homelessness definitely have something to say and should be included in the design of improving the situation. Because who knows how to deal with homelessness better than the people that experienced it, right? At least they know what challenges and opportunities are faced.
I think it takes I think it takes a certain type of person to really see it though, because
Yeah,
when I was first homeless in my 20s versus being homeless in my 30s and 40s,
yeah,
completely different come from, completely different ideology. And so when I was in my 20s, it was like gimme, 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 entitled, entitled, entitled. Why I'm homeless, you're supposed to
yeah,
take care of me. Okay, but then I matured, I grew up, and I realized that only I can take care of me, and I can't rely
yeah,
on other people. But I noticed that a lot of people, that especially the ones that are stuck out here for long periods of time, that's kind of what keeps them out here, not necessarily entitlement, but it's more like a chip on the shoulder that leads to entitlement. And I think that that is kind of what keeps a lot of people homeless to begin with.
homeless and happy, in my opinion. Like, like,
Why
you need
not?
to, obviously we want people to be happy, but I think it's to get out of it, right? Like, I think everyone should be happy, but I think there are obviously better situations,
Oh,
right? Like there are a lot of people that are comfortable, like really comfortable with it, um, and I don't think, in my personal opinion, everyone has a different story, right? But if someone's okay with where they're at, I'm no one to tell anyone that they should change their situation, right?
yeah.
But I do think those that want to have a home and to participate in society should be given that opportunity.
I will. I'll say it this way: when if you're doing homelessness by choice, and everybody has priorities, and when you've learned over time that due to circumstances, whether it be economic or environmental or whatever it may be, that actually puts you to a point where you become homeless, that you learn that that is no longer a big priority. So yeah, you're gonna be happy out here. You can't, if you're going to do it by choice, you're going to be happy
Yeah,
because you understand what it is that you're coming into. Now, historically, before we had big cities, what at least 10% of the population were nomads. They roamed around the country, slept in a pack, and just roamed. And you think that just
yeah,
because we got urbanized that changes anything? No, and I'm part of that segment of society that um, given the opportunity, I would roam the rest of my life because I enjoy it. It's just part of who I am. That's
yeah,
not for everybody, but those are the people that either they've been chronically homeless for so long that it becomes their lifestyle, or that's the reason why they chose to come out here to begin with. Because I mean, a lot of
yeah,
people say that homelessness is freedom, but the thing is, you got to realize that when you go get all these benefits and all these entitlements, all that freedom that you thought that you had, you're waiving and signing all those rights away every time you apply for any of those benefits. So are you really free if you are also on those benefits? So if you're going to be homeless and free, you need to be homeless without relying on the benefits. And honestly, if you're going to be out here, whether you want to do it long term or it's just a circumstance, that should be your goal, and then move into housing after that, which is just to be no longer dependent on the system, so that you can experience what real freedom is, which is get up when you
yeah,
want, go where you want. But
yeah, yeah,
with everything, it does come with responsibility too, because for every
yeah.
action there is an equal and opposite consequence and reaction.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in the thing is, in the city, you have more resources, right? And you also have more.
Not anymore. Not anymore. That's what this that's what the Ninth Supreme Court. That's what the Ninth Circuit Court. That is the impact it made, because you need to sleep. They can't bother you from sleeping because there's no shelter space. There's no shelter space. They can't wake you up. They can't move you along. You're no longer getting trespasses. You can go sleep in parks now. I mean, I'm watching people sitting there, doing their, smoking their crack as the cops driving by, and the cops aren't even doing anything. I mean, this is like, it's been 10 years since I've been outside, and I'm telling you, that is the biggest shock that I have dealt with, is just how open it is. But that is the good and bad consequence of what happened in the Boise v. Martin case. Is it kind of allowed it to go to the other extreme.
About a month ago because we work out there too, and the drug situation there is quite hardcore. Like basically they have a place that they go and they get free drugs, right? Like the government, the local government there, what they do is it's called risk reduction, if you will. So they have a specific place that they go and they can use the drugs and they go back and they come back the next day. But I was a bit surprised because that was like the hardest place that I've seen in Europe so far.
Funny story. They actually have something like that in San Francisco, but for alcoholics. And they just got slammed
Yeah.
in the news, by Fox News. Actually, they just got slammed
Wow.
hardcore because of it. Well, one of the guys that I was actually going to hop trains with, those of you that remember Leprechaun, he was actually in one of those. And I asked him, I says, "Well, I mean, you're a drunk. That must have been perfect for you." He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Until you want to get sober, you don't. You're gonna. If you want to get sober, you leave that place, because it's so free and easy. If you want to get away from it, you don't want to have that ease of access." And so that, like,
Yeah.
it's the reality of the situation is it's counterproductive. It's supporting the addicts, and then the ones that want to get clean have nowhere else to go because their one clean spot got taken away from them.
Yeah, no, it's hard. I mean, we've at the beginning, we helped people that had more issues and also heavy mental health issues as well. But that's not our main focus with the health program right now. But one of the guys, the first guy we helped, right? So he brought that down to methadone.
Uh huh.
So in, out, in, out, in, and he died like 6 months ago at 48,
Oh wow.
right? Um, yeah, I mean, I mean, the first thing we published a book of poetry with him, right? Because his talent was poetry, and so I told him I'm not going to pay for your coffee all the time. And I said, if you want coffee, you can pay for it with a poem. And the result of that was a book of poetry called Homeless Poetry. But when he relapsed and got into heroin again, which was complicated. It's really hard to deal with that. But I think it's also important to highlight in Europe. I don't know if you know, but the average lifespan of a homeless person in Europe is 50, which is the same as it was in the UK in 1900 before modern medicine. I don't
Yeah,
know what the
same here
average
in the states.
lifespan right
I
now is.
I was actually going to
Yeah.
mention that stat. That, yeah, I was reading it last night because I was looking up some stats, and it's like, yeah, you can live to be like 70 something if you're housed, but if you're not, you don't live past 50. Like, that's if you spend your whole life out here, though. But it is
Yeah,
going to
well,
take time off of your life.
for sure. And Army made a question about how do you help homeless that don't want to be helped. I don't know what your
You
perspective
don't.
is, but mine, I don't. Like,
Yeah.
you can't force someone to do something they don't want to do. The only thing you can do, really, in my opinion, is inspire people and provide opportunities. And then, people make decisions. You can't force anyone. I'm nobody to go tell someone that they need to live a different type of lifestyle. I'm there to provide opportunities. One thing that we do differently in homeless entrepreneur than the government can fine you. They cannot give you money. They can basically punish you for not participating. We can't punish anyone. The only thing we do is, okay, well, then you lose an opportunity, right? So psychologically, it's very different to work with us than it is to work with normal governments. In that regard, we're obviously not the government, but the way we do is we help people that want to be helped. And we also understand that everybody has their own dream, their own capacity, and we try to find a path with them, but we can't force anyone to
And
do
and to
anything.
kind of
Where in
and
Europe is this guy?
and to
I'm in right
piggyback.
now.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying. Right now, I'm in France. I live in Barcelona, in Spain, and I travel all throughout Europe. But right now I'm visiting family, so I'm in France right now.
So to kind of piggyback off the whole inspiration thing, you guys have probably heard me tell the story a few times about my good friend Puckett down in Gainesville. Or if you guys
Mhm.
remember, like he passed out, like I had to carry him back to the shelter, the guard shack, so that they could call 911 for him. Um, and but the thing was, is afterwards, him and I sat back and we had to talk about how he needed to take care of himself, how he was lucky that I was there, and that maybe nobody else would be there the next time. So ask himself how much does he really value his own life. And when I came back the next year, he had gotten off of needing insulin and was onto the pill. He was sleeping. He was doing less dope. He actually looked like he had life in him. He'd lost a lot of weight. He was doing really really well, and he was on the path to getting clean.
Yeah.
But it's those people in your life that are there, that are there at the most important moment, that make that impact, that will inspire you to make a positive change in your life. This is why it's important when you see a homeless person to be kind to them, not mean. Because if you're kind to them, that might be the inspiration that they needed to be able to move in the right direction. Or if they're having such a bad day, that one random act of kindness is the difference maker between them, finding a tall building and waking up the next morning.
Yeah, I mean, they're crazy stories. I mean, you have people that I've heard of people that slept in dumpsters and they got killed,
Yeah.
right? Because they got put and tossed in the truck. There are a lot of in Barcelona. There was this homeless guy who was burnt to death by these like 20-year-old rich kids that thought it was funny.
Oh yeah, I
Like,
just that happened in Gainesville earlier this year. Like when I was down there for this winter, so it was like 2 blocks from me. I just thought that it was just fighting. I didn't realize the girl was getting alive. So, all right. So let's
mm,
we're kind of getting towards the end of it, and that and my battery's getting low. So, what I'd like to do is, so we're looking at doing this, guys. So this conversation will probably be a long-term conversation that we're having, because, like I told you in the beginning, we're looking
yeah.
at doing this the last Saturday of every month. Because he's in Europe, we're going to be doing it at about this time, one Saturday a month. So just be expecting it. I think that there's going to be a lot of good stuff here. I've been watching you guys in the comments, so on and so forth. But as far as you, Andrew, what are take a couple minutes, give your final words on whether you want to give advice or information.
Well, I mean, if anyone's interested in speaking with me, I'm happy to have that conversation. If they're experiencing homelessness, we have a helpline. Um,
What
Doc,
is
if you
that
want to
helpline
share that
number?
number, it's +34 697 877 089. I can send it to you too if you don't have it, Tuck. So anyone that wants to start that conversation, happy to do so. We also have a program called Voices where people tell their story in 60 seconds. It's something that they can keep doing as time goes on to help them reach their goals. And then the other thing is the help program, which and you're participating in, which is to really accompany people with what they're doing by building a network and creating opportunities. So I just want to thank you, Tuck. I love what you're doing. I also appreciate the trust and the confidence to collaborate and to make this happen and to invite me into your community, just like we've invited you into ours. And just to end with something inspirational, we're going to be walking 150 kilometers in 5 days, which is about 92 miles, for the 150 million homeless people to the Olympics in July, and that will be our second edition. And we'll be doing it a third time in Switzerland, from Zurich to Davos, for the World Economic Forum. And if all goes well and you can make it out, it would be a pleasure to have you join us. So,
Yeah, and
and obviously Sam.
I'm gonna put that on you guys that follow me here, if you guys would like to see something like that happen, because we all know the importance of Davos, regardless of which media you follow. So being able to be there and participate, it's an experience of a lifetime. So if any of you guys want to live vicariously through me and help sponsor the trip, feel free to. I will not turn it down, I promise. But thank you for being here, and I'm really glad that we actually came across each other, because again, you have your program is making an impact, and I appreciate it, and I'm glad that we're able to collaborate together, because I think that we're both going in the same direction, just with our own message and our own uniqueness. But I think that
Yeah.
we're a good match, and I look forward to the continued working together, because I think that there are those out there that really need the help when it comes to changing their life. And it's not about money, it's about connections, it's about resources, it's about networking. And without those tools, it doesn't matter how much money you have, you're not going to be able to really have that much success. And so having
Yeah.
access to the right people is more important than any dollar. And that's, I think that is the greatest value that you bring to the table when helping people like me that want to make a difference in their own lives. So
Thank you. It's an honor and pleasure. So I look forward to our next call in 1 month. Just want to wish the best to everyone that's participating, that's in the chat. If we didn't respond to something you say, sorry about that. But love you guys a lot. Have a wonderful day, and looking forward to the next conversation.
all right, you guys have a great one. Thanks for being here. I will see you guys on Tuesday's live stream.
Take care.